It's just Bruce, he don't bite. Hello.
Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. Got a resin video for you tonight. We're going to try something new. I was watching a few other videos, searching through YouTube, and I came across somebody that was making, they were saying, can you make a resin mold out of hot glue sticks? And I happen to have a bunch of hot glue sticks laying around, and I personally don't think it's going to work, but we're going to try it tonight and see. Most of the mold, well, all the molds they made were for something two-dimensional, like a pendant. This is something I was playing around with. It's not that important, but this style of thing. Usually I'm making 3D models of like spheres or items that require the silicone molds that I use, or action figures that I use my reusable molding compound for, or it encompasses the whole thing. This is a little bit different, and I was thinking, I don't know if it's going to work or not, but what I want to make is action figures usually come with little stands, and this is one of the stands. Let me show you a picture of it. So these are what I'm talking about. They're just little pieces that you set your action figure on for a display, and they help them so they don't fall over. And see, they have a peg there that goes in the holes in the bottom of the feet that most action figures have, and all you have to do is put it in there and it helps them stand up. I know, weird angle, but and they come in different colors. Some come clear. These are just some white ones I have made earlier. I think I did a video about it. I don't remember if I published it or not, about how to make these with a silicone mold. But today we're going to try using the hot glue method, because I found I have a whole bunch of these glue sticks. They're like the hot glue. I use the medium heat, the low temp melt hot glue. These are the really hot ones, and I'm like, let's give this a try and see if it works. So that's what we're going to do today. And all I'm going to need is, I'm going to try two different ways. I have a piece of foam board here. It's just simple black foam board left over from another project that I used. And I figure I'm going to make it one way on this, because I know the hot glue will stick to this. But the way I'm going to do it, it's not going to matter. But if I want to make it the other way around, I don't want the hot glue to stick to this. So I'm going to actually put it on this piece of silicone, hoping that it doesn't stick. The glue doesn't stick. Now, I don't know why the silicone is coming out looking like that. It's not right. Let me fix that. I'll be right back. Okay, problem solved. Turns out the last video I did, I used a green screen with this camera, and I never turned the filter off. That's why it looked funky. I did that on another video too, where I noticed it come out looking funky. This, like I said, this is just a standard silicone mold that I use for another product. I'm turning it upside down just so I have a flat area to work with. And we're going to do this one. We're going to pour this way with the peg facing up. We're going to cover the whole thing with hot glue and see what we got at the end. This one, I'm going to put the glue down first, and we're going to put this down, peg down into the glue. So we'll see which one actually works, which one doesn't. Hey, none of these might work. I don't know, but we're going to give it a shot. So here we go. As you can see, I have an old school glue gun here. It's not the one I normally use, but it works just fine. It's a high temperature one. But like I said, I'm trying to get rid of these glue sticks I don't need. So let's just get started on the face down ones. I'm going to just do this and make a big glob of it. Squeeze it a few times. Oh, add another stick. Gotta have that in there. So I got a big glob. Well, right off the bat, I can see there's a lot of bubbles in that glue. So I don't know if it's going to work or not. And then I'm going to take my piece. I'm going to turn it. Where we at? I'm going to turn this upside down. And I'm going to set it right in there before it dries. I'm just going to wiggle it around, try and get no air bubbles in it. I got to be honest with you, it doesn't look very promising right now. I could be doing this wrong. I don't know. This is my first attempt, so who knows what's going to happen. And I'm just going to let that sit there and dry. I'll tell you what, while this is drying, I'm going to set it aside. And I'm going to go ahead and cover this one with the glue. I'm going to try to be a little more careful. But I'm just going to go around the edges here on this one. And take my time, maybe. Instead of rushing, if I take my time, I might get a better mold. But I'm just going around the edges. I do know, making a mold, this has to be completely covered. Because if it's not completely covered, it won't hold in the resin. So now I'm doing the top. I'm also concerned with the heat of this glue ruining my original. This particular original I actually made from another mold. I actually used this silicone mold here, if you can see it. This is a silicone mold I used to make these. So if I trash one, it's not that big of a deal. So let's let these dry and I'll be right back. Yeah, so those things took quite a while to dry. They're not completely dry, but I can touch them now. I was kind of surprised how long it took to dry, but I'm not used to using hot glue, so I mean, not in this large quantity. I'm used to put a little dot here and there when I need it. So I'm looking at my two molds here, and this is the one that we're gonna disconnect completely from this silicone. We're gonna turn it upside down to pour it, and this other one we're gonna leave it as is. But as you can see on this one, I did get some glue here up on the edges, and that's just unacceptable because I need to remove that from the glue, which is what I was wondering if it would actually work or not. So I'm going to carefully, I know I said I could trash this piece, but I want to carefully, I want this to succeed because maybe I can use this later on in life, I don't know. But I'm trying to cut this glue off of the top, so when I pour the resin in there, can you still see it now? All right. When I pour the resin in there, I want it to get a decent, yeah, I'm a little sloppy, but this is something I've never tried before, and that's why I'm videotaping it. Pass or fail, it's going on the channel, so I don't know at this point what's going to happen. At this point, you're allowed to laugh at me because I fully admit I don't know what I'm doing. Well, I don't have an idea how to get this out, so I'm going to go ahead and move on to the other one that I made that I wanted to be upside down. There it is. This one dried pretty nicely. Setting it on the surface, because this one I actually want to flip over upside down to pour into the top. Theoretically, it looks like it's going to work at this point. Now, as long as this hot glue didn't stick to the silicone, and it didn't, okay, that was easy. That popped right out of the silicone. All right, we'll set that aside. Now I need to get my piece out of the glue. So I'm just gonna go for it. I'll go for the side it doesn't have the foot peg.
Mr. Bruce done messed it up again.
All right, my hands hurt. I cannot get this out without tearing it. If y'all know what I did wrong, leave it in the comments. I would like to know what I did wrong. Okay, so the silicone mold did not work for me. The glue didn't stick to it, which is good, but I couldn't get my master out of the glue. My hands are still sore from that. Now, if I couldn't get the master out of that glue, I really don't see myself getting it out of this glue. So I feel like I'm missing something. I don't like to give up. I'm not even going to try with this one. I'm just going to throw it away. Like I said, luckily, I've got a bunch of these, and they don't matter. I'm going to try it a different way. Let me get set up. So that was the first attempt at that, and I call the first attempt an epic fail. Epic fail. I was trying to think what I might have done wrong. I'm not one to easily give up, but I have all these glue sticks and I'm never going to use them, so I want to try again. The problem I had was the glue wouldn't let go of the pieces. Understandable. It's glue. I get it. I'm going to try using a mold release. A lot of people think they have to spend money on mold release. When I use silicone molds, every once in a while I have to use a mold release. And the mold release I normally use whenever I'm making the molds themselves. I never cast with mold release. A lot of people do. I don't, because especially with the white resin, it just seems to mess up my casting. But when I make these two-part molds, I pour the first part, I hit it with what I'm going to show you with my mold release, and then I pour the second half. And I have not had a problem with it yet. So that's what I'm going to try to do now, but I'm going to put the mold release on my actual masters and see. Hopefully I don't get any bubbles or any weird stuff. Yeah, and guess what I'm using for mold release? Regular vegetable oil. Cheapest thing you can get. A lot of people spend like $10, $20 on a bottle of regular mold release and they swear by it. I'm sure it does work. I'm not saying it doesn't. But I don't have that, and I'm cheap. So I'm going to coat them with a little bit of this. Let you watch while I do it. I'm going to do it over here so I don't get a mess. That's why I'm wearing the gloves. Just a little sploosh. Little sploosh. And I'm going to set these right here. They're ready to use. I go. See, I wore gloves this time. I learned. Not that that stuff would hurt my hands, but no one wants to work with greasy fingers. So these are the pieces I just sprayed, and we're just basically going to do the same thing. I kind of want to do this one first, though, because this one took the longest to dry. So let's do this one first. You can see this is what I don't like. You can see the texture on there from the cooking spray, and that's just a little tiny light coating. I'm afraid that's going to come out in my copies. But then again, for this particular item, a texture, it might make it a little more interesting. We're going to find out. Like I said, we're still in pass and fail. I don't know if this is going to work. I am a little concerned, I'm not going to lie. I don't like failing, but you know, you can't be perfect all the time. All right, I got to take this off camera, but I'm going to do the same as I did before because the structure of the mold seemed to be fine. So I'm just going to do this glue around the edge. I'll try to keep it on camera here, but it gets back to this part over here, it's kind of hard. And I'm going a little slower so I don't get the air bubbles that you saw in the very first one I did, because that might have been a potential problem later down the road anyway. So look, I'm going around and around with my hot glue, getting the edges. Now I'm just going to go right down on where the, whatchamacallit is, the foot peg. And I'm just going to cover it like I did before. One thing I'm doing differently, I meant to tell you, this glue gun has a couple settings on it. I turned it off high, I put it on low. It's still melting the glue and it's still working. Because honestly, it took forever for that to cure or solidify the last time. I don't want to wait that long. I think it took like 20 minutes. I'm going to set this aside as far as I can. Put it up there in the corner above my head. And let's do this one. I'm still going to do this the same way. I'm going to make a giant puddle of glue. But this time I'm going slower so my glue doesn't have a ton of bubbles in it. Oh, I'm running out of stick. Put a stick in. And like I said, I did lower the temperature of this glue. So here comes a giant puddle of it. It's not as bubbly as the first one was, but I don't know if that was going to be an issue or not, but I feel like it would have been. So there's a giant bubble of glue to get me started. Turn it upside down. I'm going to put this right in the center. Make my peg go in first. Push it down. Try not to get air bubbles in there. And I'm going to stop. Look at the spider webs again. I'm going to stop right there and let it dry like that first. Then I'll do the edges. I'm looking at it to make sure that peg isn't touching the cardboard, because if there's nothing under there, then it's not going to cure right when I do pour resin in there. There's just a fraction of an inch between the peg and the cardboard. Well, you know my philosophy, it's either going to work or it's not going to work. But now I'm going to put it around the edges. Let you guys see that. And my philosophy is always, let's do it the least expensive, the most efficient way. Because a lot of people don't do this professionally. A lot of people just do this for hobbies, especially around Christmas time. They make Christmas ornaments, or in this case, this would be equivalent to like, oh, some of the jewelry you see. So I like to call them, and it's not an offensive term, I like to call them holiday hobbyist. It's a holiday hobby for some people. You know, they want to make nice things for their friends and relatives, so they do stuff like this. So why not come up with easier ways so they don't got to spend $100 to make 3-4 things? So there's that. I got a little on the edge too, but I'm not much worried about it. I'm not even worried if these come out perfect. I just want to see if theoretically it works. And then we can go from there. So I'm going to need a few more minutes for this to dry. Yeah, ooh. Y'all see that? I think he's going to be okay, but it wasn't dry yet, and I stuck my finger in it. So I do dumb stuff too. It is what it is. I'm just going to give a little more glue on top of that, which isn't going to make the drying time going to take longer. So I'm going to go take a break, and I'll come back when these are hard, and we'll see if we can get them out. And I'll answer that text message. So I'm ready to check the one in the silicone. Looking at it, the design of everything. This is the one I think is going to work. Well, let's find out. I mean, we already know the glue will come off the silicone, no problem. And there it goes. All right, that works. Now I want to see if that mold release vegetable oil did its job. Gently going around the edges. Trying to. Oh, that's pretty tight there. Pretty tight there. Pretty tight there. All right, it seems like half of it's loose, the other half isn't. So I'm going to go from the loose side. All right, so far it's so much better than the last one. But I feel like I might have missed it with some of the molding. No, it's coming. It's coming. It's letting her go. There's one little area it's stuck to, but it let it go. Okay. All right. This is better than we did last time. The mold looks sound. Mold looks sound. It does look like it has a little bit of texturing in there, like I explained before. Let me wipe this out. This one looks promising. That looks promising. So we're going to set that aside. And as you can see, my original is still in good shape. If this was something that mattered, it wouldn't be ruined. I got the oil on my fingers. I forgot to put gloves on. Now this guy. I don't know why, but this one intimidates me a little bit. Let's see what we can do. I mean, a little knife here. Still has a little stuff around the edges. I keep forgetting the camera. Little stuff around the edges. I'm just going to try. I can't bend it. Okay, it's coming away from the sides with me just doing this. I'm bending it just a tad. But remember, I'm not going to take this off the board. Oh, this is still just a little soft. Maybe that's something I did wrong too. Maybe it needs to be a little soft. I'm going to go around here where I overlapped it with my X-Acto knife. I should probably put a new blade in. I'm so bad about that. I'll use a blade till it just won't work anymore. Oh, there it is. I tried it out. It popped right out. Okay. So, there's my original undamaged. This has some oil on the inside of it. Let's get that wiped up. All right, well, okay, so far this one's working better than the other one. I still don't know if it's going to work or not. It looks like I have some oil down in that hole right there. It looks like there's a little deposit of oil. How can I get that out? One of these. Q-tip would work, I would think. I don't have any Q-tips, though. So I'm going to stick that in the hole. Just give it a little twist and try and get the oil out of there. I don't know if that oil is going to react with the resin I'm about to use or not. We're going to find out. Okay, we got this far. Let me see if we can get some resin in these and see if we can get them working. Now I'm looking at these molds, and let me set this aside. Now I'm looking at these molds, and I'm seeing this one should do fine just sitting flat. But this one, if I turn it up to use it, it's going to rock and roll because it's dome shaped on the bottom. So I'm thinking, how can I fix that? Well, I've come to the conclusion that I'm going to cut a hole in this foam board right here to fit it in there. And then that should hold it nice and flat. So I'm going to do that right now. I think that'll work. I think that'll work. You see, I have the dome part here. It's just going to lay in the hole that I just created, holding it up evenly the rest of the way around. So I'm going to give that a try. Let's get some resin mixed up and pour this puppy. So once again, like last video, today we're using Cast and Craft Fast Cast 10-minute white resin. It's just a simple resin. It's great for beginners. It takes 10 minutes to dry, but once you get into the rhythm of it, you're good to go. It's a 1 part to 1 part ratio, which I have here. I haven't mixed it yet because I figured I'd be running my mouth. So we pour the 1 part in here, little mixing cup. Set that aside in case we need to use it again. Second part. Now it's mixed. Now I've got about 2 minutes to mix this. It's kind of pushing it, actually. You'll find the hotter it is in your shop, the less time you have to work with this. But 10 minutes is a good thing. It starts turning to goo in about maybe 4 or 5 minutes on a cold day. On a summer day, 90 degrees, it'll start turning to goo a lot quicker than that. But I just mixed up enough here, just a little bit. I want to pour these 2 molds in. If I have any left over, I've got other molds here to use because I don't like to waste. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pour it in our mold here. Fill that one up. Fill this one up. Whoop, little too much in there, but that's okay. I'm actually going to use the silicone molds too that I had showed you earlier for the same piece. I figure why not, because I need them and I just trashed 2 of them. So there's 4 of these. 3. There's number 4. Now this is a silicone mold like I normally make. Nothing. I still have a little bit left, so I have a little product here that I throw on my eBay page once in a while. I use with extra resin, just so I don't. Oh, actually come out perfect. Just so I don't waste the resin. All right, now we're gonna go and let this dry, and we will be back and see our final results, and we can compare the 2 molds I just made out of hot glue to the silicone mold that I normally use. And now it looks promising. I wasn't too happy the first time we tried, but let's see what happens. Okay, it's been a few minutes. I skipped through it, obviously. But as you can see, they cured, and they're not completely cured. They're a little bendy, but they're still going to work for this, what I'm doing. So the first ones I'm going to take out, because I've done this a million times. I'm just going to go ahead and take out the ones from the silicone mold. And there's one. You can see it pretty good. Come on, good. I knew they would. I've been using this mold for a while. This is how I usually do it. They are still a little flimsy. They still have a little more curing to do. But I like to take them out a little bit early because I just feel like they don't stick as much, and it's easier on your mold, so you won't wear your mold out. Just what I think. It's been working for me for a while. I've had this mold for quite a while. So there's 4 good ones right there. I got the way I normally do it. This thing here, because I'm trying to give it an extra couple seconds. This is just something that I make here for my eBay store, jennercustomtoys.com. It's a mouse droid for Star Wars, and that's just the raw cut. We're just gonna leave that there. That's nothing. I just use that in case I had too much molding, too much resin, which I did. Now I am a little anxious about these guys. This one I know I can pick up. It looks okay. Let's find out. Give it a little bend. I was concerned because this molding, the cat. Yeah, I stutter a lot, and people make fun of me for it all the time, but I don't care, and I leave it in because a lot of people have problems talking, and I always did. So, I got some nasty comments on the last video, and I don't appreciate it, and if that's the kind of person you are, you have to point out somebody's faults, then shame on you. This resin heats up, so I was worried it might melt the glue, which is why I wanted to use that high temperature glue stick that I was telling you about rather than the stuff I normally use. So, there goes my camera. Okay, we're back. See, I get glitches once in a while too. So anyway, we're going to try and take this out of the mold, and like I said, it is a little soft. It is coming across the edges, coming out of the edges. We'll see what we got here. Let's take it out like I normally do. It's coming. It's coming. Can you see that? Now, I'm worried about the foot peg. The foot peg's stuck in that hole. If I break that off, then it ruins the piece. And there it is. Hey, guys. It worked. I don't know if you can see this on camera. It does have a little bit of the texturing. Where's my pointer? It's got a little bit of the texturing right here from the vegetable oil. That's not coming up. Let's zoom in. I might, because this is just a piece of white resin, I might be able to actually just sand that down with some really fine grit sandpaper if I want to take the time to do so. But I'm looking at, will this work for other things, which is probably what you guys want to use it for. Will this work for other things? I don't know. Well, let's dig the other one out. This is the one that I feel is going to be a hard one, as in difficult. It doesn't want to let go yet. See if we can just get under that edge without ruining anything. Oh, wait, it did start to go. It started to. Like I said, my resin isn't completely cured. I just prefer to do it this way. It seems like it's a little more forgiving if it's not completely cured for stuff like this. And I'll tell you right now, I don't believe this is going to work so well. I'll just go around the edges. It's coming up now. Okay, there it clicks, so it's coming. I got that foot peg in there. Oh, foot peg came out. And okay, can you see this one? Move it over here in the center. That's not too bad. There's a piece right here that I can trim. In fact, we'll just trim that right now. It's not perfect, but for what this piece is, it's going to work just fine, I suppose. It does have the texturing we were talking about. Now, the reason I like to take my mold out, my castings out before they're completely cured is it makes it so much easier to do this. Like I'm removing this piece that doesn't belong there. Now we're working with it. So these are the two that I made with hot glue, and I'm looking at the mold now too. I can totally reuse this mold. It's still in good shape. The peg hole's in good shape. I should be able to reuse this mold. This mold here, what we just removed, and I can see it now, there's an air bubble right here. Big air bubble, which is what we just cut off. Other than that, it worked fine too. So these are the two. Let me zoom back out. These two came from the hot glue. These four came from my silicone mold. They all need trim. I trim them down a little bit anyway. You have to. Cut the extra flashing off. They can all be painted. All right, second attempt. I got to admit it. I think it worked. Well, the question of today was, can hot glue make a mold? And after trying it twice, failing once, I'm going to have to say yes for simple things like the foot stands I just showed you. Compared to the silicone that I'm using, this is, I forget what brand this is, sorry, but this is a regular silicone mold for white resin, clear resin, whatever you want to put in it. For white resin, it works great. This one also works on clear resin. I think this one will work on clear resin too because the clear resin doesn't heat up. But if this can withstand the heat of the white resin going in there and still produce a decent product, I would have to say for something simple, it works. Now, as far as doing an entire action figure, I don't see that working. I'm not going to try it. Y'all can try that on your own. But just for simple things like this, medallions, little trinkets for jewelry or whatnot, I don't see why it wouldn't work just fine for y'all. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Hopefully this wasn't too long of a video. I haven't edited it yet. But I think the key thing to take from this is if you're going to use it, make sure you use some kind of a mold release. In my case, I used vegetable oil spray. There are other molding releases out there, but like I said, I'm always the one trying to find the cheapest, most efficient way. But yeah, if you try it, hey, let me know and let me know your thoughts. I'd like to hear what you have to say. I'm probably not going to do this again unless it's an emergency. Sometimes you run out of silicone and you have to do something. If it's applicable, I'll do it. I don't know. Anyway, thanks, guys. Hey, give me a like, subscribe, pass the word around. I'd like to get some more subscribers. That'd be awesome. See you next time. Bye.
It's just Bruce. He don't bite. Hello.